on, Foxy. It's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
We're going to do better. How y'all doing? Welcome to DragonCon 2024. I'm your moderator. I go by Skip.88 from Blerd Incorporated, a 501c3 nonprofit organization in the city of Birmingham, Alabama. And what we do, we celebrate the African American and POC excellence inside the nerd community while giving back to the community in a nerdy way. Alright, so I got some great panelists here. Being a Blerd, I'm gonna give a rundown of what being a Blerd is. Being a Blerd is where we have a town hall talking about what we've been through as African Americans in the nerd community. I feel as though that this was like a much needed panel to, to have at conventions like this. This is my second year having this panel at this convention. So I gotta thank y'all out there in the audience because y'all like the last year, y'all wanted to come again. So I really do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Give yourself a round of applause. And hopefully, y'all like it and y'all want to come back because I have talked to a lot of African Americans here. Why did I say that? I talked to a lot of black people here. And they said, we needed more stuff, we needed more spaces and spots for us to have something like this. So, I'm putting in the work. Everybody that y'all see up here putting in the work to make things happen at this convention. And we also have another panel that's going to be at 10 o'clock tonight, which that's going to be the Rapture. So y'all make sure y'all come to this one, because we are very demure in this one. So, yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, nah. But man, we're gonna have a good time. So, y'all, are y'all ready to get the thing started off? Y'all are very moody today. Okay. So we're gonna have everybody on this panel to introduce themselves and what they do, and we're gonna get started. Y'all cool with that?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead. And we're gonna have IDB Wells to go first.
Good afternoon, family. My name is Leighann Lord. I cosplay today during the parade as Ida B. Wells. I've done this for several years as part of the Skep track. That's the track that brings me in. I am a stand-up comedian, author. I've performed at DragonCon for 10 years, doing various comedy shows, various panels. I had the honor of being the moderator for the 2018 Wakanda panel, which still, when I think about that year here for us, it just felt so foundational and so wonderful. And I guess maybe like many of you, I thought I was the only Blerd. It was just me. All the rest of my family was all muggles. So yeah, shout out to Ravenclaw. Coming here was like, oh, this is where my real family at. So it's an honor to be here and on this panel and talking about sharing our experiences with you. So thank you.
Shout out to the Slytherins.
Please understand, my secondary house is Slytherin.
No Hufflepuff?
Y'all need something. Y'all need stuff.
Oh, this is gonna be one of them kind of panels. I see that. All right.
This is what we doing.
All right. 2 minutes in, and some of y'all ready to fight already. Where's my Hennessy?
This is why we can't have nice things.
We're about to be all right now in a minute.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Channing Scott Sherman. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm CS Sherman because I don't want my coworkers to find me. I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Geeks of DragonCon. I always tell people we are the party, not the protest. We just highlight one slice of DragonCon's diversity. We started out in 2015 with about 25, 30 people on the steps at Hardy Ivy. Last year, even with some weather and scheduling issues, we had over 300. So thank y'all for coming together. Thank you. I'm gonna keep it simple. Move it on.
Oh. Okay. I wasn't ready. Okay. All right. So
I'm just here for eye candy, so.
So good afternoon, people. I love seeing all us out here looking good today. My name is Jesse J. Holland. I am the author of Black Panther, Who is the Black Panther? The first prose novel written about the Black Panther. I am also the editor and a contributor to Black Panther Tales of Wakanda, the first prose anthology written about the world's best superhero. I am also the author of Star Wars The Force Awakens Finn's story, which was the first novel written about Finn in Star Wars. I am also the editor and a contributor to the upcoming Captain America Shield of Sam Wilson, which will come out right in front of Captain America Brave New World. And I am also an occasional guest host on C-SPAN's Washington Journal and a new guest speaker on History's Greatest Mysteries with Lawrence Fishburne.
But he said he wasn't ready to speak.
How can I follow that up? I don't even know. You should have went first or last.
But see, I don't look good like this. So.
Hello, everyone. I am Barr Foxx. For those that don't know me, I am the creator of Cosplay Your Way. I'm happy to announce that I have the very first award-winning documentary about POC cosplayers airing now on TV and Amazon. In my day job, I am a television and film producer. I work for Tyler Perry Studios, so maybe you've seen some of my shows, like All the Queen's Men and Sisters, and some of those shows that I put my little twist on. So I'm happy to be here. You guys look amazing. When I first started, I'm not going to say the year because y'all not going to date me. When I first started, it might have been 4 of us in this room. Look at where we are today.
Hello everyone, I'm Danique Cosplay. I am an event planner. I am a cosplay photographer who's photographed many of the conventions, even photographed for DC Comics. I am also a assistant producer and graphic design for The Bob with Karen Ashley, the Yellow Power Ranger. I am also an executive producer and co-host of the Moana Nui Podcast that focuses on the BIPOC community, especially Indigenous and of women of color. And I'm also a voice actor, so those are just the short list.
All right. Thank y'all for coming.
Do we need to sing the Black National Anthem first?
No,
Do we know the words?
I am actually curious, by show of hands, how many of you actually know the Black National Anthem?
All of us are sure.
No, just know it, because it's like, I feel like it's a generation
The first verse. The first verse. First verse.
Why you embrace it?
If you see, no judgment. If you see somebody without a raised hand, pull them to the side, and let's just have a circle and let's go to because we might be singing it in November.
Well, man, we're gonna get started with this panel, and what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go down the table, or how we gonna go. So I'm gonna ask everybody on this table, what made you a Blerd, and how has it been for you?
Anybody want to jump in?
I'll take the first bullet. I'll jump on the grenade.
What did I say?
Yes, exactly. So I'm also of a certain age where when I was growing up, Blerd was not a word. If you were black and you were nerdy, you were just different. They might have called you weird, but they called you some other words that I can't repeat. But you were not a Blerd. I was just talking to an old friend of mine today. Dudes, well, I shouldn't say this, a lot of guys in middle school, they were bringing the East Bay catalog. Everybody remember the East Bay catalog? Yeah. Thank you. They were bringing that. I was bringing popular science and G.I. Joe comic books. So there was already a difference right there. I don't think I knew I was a nerd probably until, a true nerd I should say, probably until college. Because that's when it really hit, and I'm like, man, I was just hanging out in the computer lab, even when I wasn't supposed to be in the computer lab. Like I didn't have class or anything, I was just in there because talking to the people that were there. So I never knew. Again, I just thought I was just different. Same thing when we go home. My brothers, they were great athletes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like you're like all state pitchers, all state basketball. My dad coached me on the baseball team. Your boy, one season, T-ball. And I was the catcher. So that's the height of my athletic ability. And I thank my parents because after a few years of trying, I think they finally realized he ain't like his brothers. And after a while, after stopping buying me, baseball equipment and track shoes, they were like, you know what, here's a computer, go somewhere and sit. So yeah, I think that's when I knew it, but I just always thought I was different. I never thought that I was any better or any worse. I definitely knew I was not as popular, but I did not think I was any better or any worse than anybody. I just thought I'm different. And honestly, when the word Blerd came out, I was like, oh wait, we can't curse. I was like, oh darn it, I found my people. So yeah, it was great. I won't do it now, but I will tell you all the story how Black Geeks and Dragon Con was founded. And that was kind of the moment. It was like, oh crap, there are a lot of us out here. Right. So yeah, I was different. I never thought of it as a bad thing.
Well, I think I might have had just a little bit worse because I found out I was a nerd on a cotton farm.
Oh.
Okay. I grew up in Mississippi, little town I would call Holly Springs, and it was I was truly alone. I found out I was a nerd like in the 5th or 6th grade when everybody else was talking about Prince and talking about all the music that my parents wouldn't let me listen to on the radio. And I was like, yeah, but did you read Spider-Man? And I figured it out in high school, but it was in college where you finally tried. So I went to the University of Mississippi, the whitest university on the face of this earth, and there were exactly 3 of us.
Isn't your mascot just a piece of cotton?
It actually would be better than what we had. We just turned red. That would actually be better. But there were exactly 3 of us at the University of Mississippi, and we found each other, and we raised money to drive, 80 miles to Memphis, Tennessee every Wednesday, because that's when the new comic books came out. So we drove to Memphis, went to the one black comic book shop we found. There was one black guy that owned a comic book shop. And we kept him in business for 3 years. We had our pull list there. Then we hit Crystals, and then we drove right back to Oxford, back to real life. And those are my boys to this day. But I will argue that you're not made a Blerd, you're born a Blerd. And you might not find out what you are until later, but I think you're born the way you are. And imagine trying to explain that to a black farmer.
For me, I had a different walk. I didn't know for the longest. I think my parents must have just shielded me and just told me I was different and wonderful. And I didn't realize I was a Blerd until I got into spaces and people was like, oh, you're a nerd, you're weird. So, but because I walked a walk of being different all the time, I was lucky to have a family like I had. I thought being different was a plus, and I never wanted to assimilate. So you didn't do anything but encourage me to continue it. And what happened with me, because I lucked out to fall into the careers that I've fallen into, that if I walked that nerdy path, people kind of followed. So it made it seem more okay. But yes, I'm before Blerd was a thing. Yes. I'm before cosplay was even, that word was even used. So I come from a space where we really were just kind of people reading comic books, dressing up in costumes, and that's what it was. But I'm so glad now we have a wonderful title that creates synergy and makes people feel included. And look at all these Blerds in the room right now. Give yourself a round of applause.
For myself, on my mom's side of the family, I was the first girl surrounded by boys. So my cousins would be told, hey, go play with her. And they're like, all right, if you gonna play with us, you'll play G.I. Joe's, you gonna read these comics, you're gonna do this. And I enjoyed it, but I had a family that could not understand it. I was all constantly told, that's for boys. Comics are for boys. Action figures are for boys. Go play with Barbie. I don't want to play with Barbie. I want to play with He-Man. I gotta cancel Grayskull right now. But it was, and then of course growing up, it was from where as I grew up, it was a thing that nerds were also frowned upon. And if you were into anime or comics, you were below that level.
Right.
So everybody, you couldn't find people who was into it because everybody was trying to hide it from each other because of the cliques and stuff in high school. So I knew I didn't quite fit in. I found some people that were similar, but didn't know if they liked the same things. But then not until I got older, like after high school, I started finding people like going to Suncoast to go pick up my pre-ordered copy of Dragon Ball Z, and then I'm like, whoa, hey, aren't you in my algebra class? Okay. So it was one of those that you eventually found people, but then not until I discovered conventions. That's when I found out, oh, there's people like me that like stuff like me that I can become friends with and bond with. So that's when I knew I was a nerd, but then I discovered at that time being a Blerd, and it's a different feeling and look than just being called a nerd.
And for me, I started off at a very young age. Shout out to my mom, because she got me into the nerd community with my favorite brand, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And to this day, like from that, man, you can't tell me nothing. I had my bedroom, bed sheets, closet. I had the soap, I had the toothpaste, I had the floss. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I had everything, and man, and for me, because I'm an athlete, I'm a member of a Greek organization. I'm also a police officer, so I'm kind of a real gem, because somebody like me in my city, what I do is say, bro, you different, you weird, but you know, God made me to stand out. He didn't make me to be blend with everybody else, and God made everybody in this room different to stand out. Yeah, y'all go ahead, clap, go ahead, clap. I'm gonna go back real quick. He's like, you're like crazy. But being in this space, man, the reason I made my organization Blerd Incorporated, because I seen like there was a lot of us at conventions that felt they wasn't welcome, they felt they wasn't appreciated, and I want to do something just to bring everybody together like we are now, to come and find people of us that can have the same skin color, and to make friendships, to network, and to have that pride. You know, I feel welcome now. I found my community, I found my tribe, and like everybody said, I'm not the only one anymore. And growing up, my family taught me it's always good to give back, because God can bless you 10 times more. And that's why I made a nonprofit out of it, because to give back to my community as well. So every time I do a project community, in my community, I always put a nerd twist to it. And also, I was the first person in my city of Birmingham, Alabama, to put on an all-black comic expo. Okay, and then also, so by show of hands, how many people in here, by show of hands, how many people felt left out? They felt, you know, this wasn't for you. You've been told you doing this white people's show. This is not what black people I mean, we being real, right? We gotta be real, but you're not different, you're not weird. You are you. And we so appreciative of you for being who you are. And,
Well, I'm hearing my experience all up and down the line. I'm from back when being a nerd was a bad thing. You were invisible, you were looked down on. But I also had the experience of my mother bringing me into the fold. My mother was a Trek nerd. I watched reruns of the original series with her, so this is homegrown. My mother took me to my first Star Trek convention. Wow. Right. Yes. My first cosplay, I guess you could say, she bought me my first Lieutenant Uhura uniform. You know, and when we went to the convention, I was older than, we got hit on by some Klingons.
That could have been last night.
Right? And I am talking next generation female Klingons. So yeah, you don't turn that down. So I mean, when you get that from home and you go outside and the world isn't treating you like you should be treated, but I know when I come home, my mom was like this, and so I sort of have that nerd foundation. And I remember it wasn't really until I didn't really meet other nerds or blerds, we didn't have that word then, until college. And I remember a friend of mine going, Leighann, you watch Star Trek? And I'm like, you don't? Right? Because I mean, Star Trek, no, please Star Wars people, don't come for me. The beauty of Star Trek was seeing that multicultural bridge before even understanding that didn't exist in the world, but it existed in imagination. What Lieutenant Uhura did for black girls or for women of color, she's still my heart for that. So that's how I got here. Like everybody else who goes to therapy, I am blaming my mother.
That's amazing. And the next question I have for everybody here, being in this Blerd community, everybody in here work, correct?
And by the way, if you don't have a job, I need a grant. That means you're independently wealthy.
Exactly.
So hit me up after.
But at your job, you're gonna have certain people that makes that job looks bad. You got lazy people, you got people that wanna, not work and do the work, and you got people that don't do the work but show up. It's like, hey, I did this too. So in this community, we do have people that give, Blerds a bad name. So how do we come from that where, we are doing something positive, but we do have bad influences in this community that give us a negative look? How do we come from that and just make the world show that, we are something positive?
I'm not even sure how to answer that question because I haven't seen it, but I'm sheltered perhaps. But you cannot control other people's behavior. I think you counteract that by how you show up in the world, the example that you are setting. I would like to think that still matters, that still makes a difference because you never know who's watching. And you never know who's taking that positive from you as opposed to the negative that's out there. And I'd like to think there's more good than bad. Again, start.
I like to piggyback on that. Definitely oversaturate with your goodness and your extension and reaching out to people and collaborating. I don't know what you do, and I'm sure I love you too, but these three, they collaborate, they help, they encourage, they talk to others. They are not afraid to say, I have an opportunity, so I can't do it. Would you like to do it? Would you like to do it? And give them a round of applause because they just okay? What I have to do, what Dana has done with me, with Sherman and Micah, we'd like to definitely double down on what we said we're going to do, oversaturate with the goodness we feel, like I brought up the documentary Cosplay Away in Color. That was not created to do a documentary. I was literally capturing moments with people I admired so I could watch it when I was 85 in my old folks' home. That's all I was thinking about. Interestingly enough, the pandemic happened and I wanted to keep my creativity going, so I said, well, I have all this footage, let me cut something together because I can and see what happens. But it is all about doubling down on what you do, what you said, how you come to the table. Negative stuff is going to happen, we can't control others, but we can control ourselves and we can control how we respond. and responding by leveling up and showing the world that you are demure. Is that what you said earlier? It's a shorter way.
Let me put a little different spin on it. In real life, I was a political reporter for 40 years, covering White House, Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. And it took me about 40 years to train my colleagues to stop coming to me and say, what do black people think about this? And it took me about 40 years to get, they don't dare ask that question to me now because I've gone off on their butts several times because I say to them, unless you can tell me what white people think, don't ask me what black people think. We don't have to own bad actors. They are who they are, and we are who we are.
Yes.
If somebody wants to go and show a natural born, you know what, somewhere, we say, oh no, she on her own program over there. He's on his own program. They got nothing to do with us.
Right. Well, so not my circus.
We do not have to own other people's bad actions. I mean, I know it's hard because I still watch TV. I'm like, oh, please let that person not be black. It is hard. It's taken me years to stop saying that to myself.
We say that a lot, right?
But we don't have to own somebody else's ignorance.
Right?
No, black people are not a monolith. Blerds are not a monolith. And just because one person who's black acts out, we're not responsible for that. I mean, it's the same thing, and I'll go another direction. Let a terrorist attack happen. They're gonna find every Muslim, every person from Saudi Arabia, and ask them, how do you feel about this? What do you feel? Do you denounce these attacks? They have nothing to do with them attacks. Y'all just trying to find them just because they look like the other people. And it's the same. You remind people you can't police their actions, and Jabbar goes both ways. Love this dude. I wish I was half as talented as he was. But you elevate the good is the main thing. You know, even if it's not my thing, if I see it, I know it's good. I know the people involved in it are good people. I'm going to promote it. Even if it's nothing more than me retweeting and saying, hey, y'all go check this out.
Man.
This year, one of my biggest Dragon Con accomplishments is I've gotten a lot more people of color, particularly black people, on panels as experts. They're not just up there to talk about diversity and talk about being black, which is fine, but they're there to talk about their experience as voice actors and actresses, as STEM professionals, as artists, as podcasters.
As editors.
Yeah, as editors, yeah. And I think that's a big step forward for us because I never wanted the black geeks of Dragon Con to just be, oh, here we are, we're black, down with Dragon Con. I always say it's a protest, not a party. But I did want the group to exist, to be able to expand, And I'm glad that we've done that, and I've done that by elevating the good, which any of you all can do no matter how connected you are. Just elevate the good.
Yeah. I want to add one thing. I'm sorry. I'm talking about you talking. 1 year, the Emmys reached out to me because this is some things that happened. The Emmys reached out to me and they said, there's a picture you posted. We want to use it on the Emmys. And I was like, okay, I did everything I could to find who was in that picture. But I was like, I know Sherman knows. So I was like, I'm going to reach out to him because I don't want this opportunity missed. They could have picked one of my pictures of me, but they didn't want it, but okay.
You're too big for the Oscars.
I'm too big for the Oscars, as C.S. Sherman said. But that's just what I'm talking about because that opportunity was so great, and I was like, this is not going to be missed. We tracked down everybody involved and got them paid and got them on the Emmys for their movies. So that's what this is about. So, I just wanted to say that. So I'm basically saying that don't compete, collaborate. Encourage. Because she helps me, I help him, vice versa. We just all the time. Please.
And then I would just say, a lot of times we have to make our own space. Because a lot of times, with all the negative in the world, we have to make a space. We see it with a lot of conventions. You see black-owned centered conventions, you have your BlerdCon, DreamCon, Atlantic Comic Con. You have so many spaces that you can feel included and be around like-minded people away from the negativity. And then you can make those connections and grow those bonds. People that you may have just met here at convention will end up becoming lifetime friends. Also, being here at a convention, you don't know any of these people's backgrounds.
All right, so the next thing I want to ask, I know also while I was making my nonprofit, I also met a, okay, I want to be polite because I got a lot of experience up here, so I don't want to say the other word. But, I have a lot of experienced Blerds in the room, and I have a lot of experienced Blerds on stage with me. Experience, I think
you mean old.
Y'all don't feel like fine wine, because they age.
Stand on it.
Okay. But so what I was saying that, I met a lot of experienced Blerds in this community, and that is some in this room right now. So because I know back then, y'all didn't have like the technology or everything that we got now. You didn't have
You got one more line. I got one more line. It's gonna be me and you. Okay.
Well, back then I thought the world was black and white back then. But anyway. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm sorry.
Young man.
But
You got it.
But back then, because y'all did, it was certain superheroes that it wasn't many. It wasn't many superheroes back then. But now, we have superheroes, but it's still not that many black superheroes. So from way back when, that was wrong, to now, had it changed for you? Is it still the same, or how has it been?
We were sitting around the campfire. Telling stories about John Henry. Okay, no. I get where you're going.
Thank you.
I'm gonna help him out here. I used to be the kid that used to look down the Saturday morning cartoon schedule to find out which shows had black characters on it. Now, I'm gonna pull out some deep cuts on y'all. How many of y'all remember Molecular?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? I was out there looking for these characters.
Isn't that medicine?
Okay. Any of y'all remember Astrid?
Yes.
These characters have been there, but you had to look for them. How many of y'all remember Lothar? No. Lothar. Okay, let me help y'all out. Mandrake the Magician. Lothar.
Defenders of the Universe.
That's where they rewrote Lothar and made him a main character instead of a sidekick. These characters have always been there. I was on a panel a couple days ago and I was trying to remind people that black people have been in comic books since the 1949. All Negro comics, the first representation of Lion Man, where they just bring it back now. First black superhero, the Butterfly, 1971. So if you were looking for it, you could find it. They didn't make it easy for you. But for those of us who were looking for people like us, represented on television and comic books, you could find them. It was a tough road to hoe, but you could find them. And it's because of those characters. Vixen in DC Comics. Storm in MarvelCon. You had to look them. They were always parts of teams. It was Bumblebee. It was always hard to find them, but they were there. Now we did have some problems because I was telling a colorist the other day on the Wakanda panel that I got sick of seeing purple black people because they could not or did not believe that skin color was right. So we were purple, and there was lots of problems with people like Jon Stewart. There were lots of problems with people like Luke Cage in the beginning. But it's from those seeds we have the trees we have now. So we could find it, but you had to work. They didn't want to make it easy for you, but it was out there. And even though we might be embarrassed by some of the stuff we see now, we look at it from today's perspective, those people were working hard trying to get something out there that was somewhat right.
I have a question for you. What did you think about Hanna-Barbera? Is it Hanna-Barbera?
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera Super Friends when they finally tried to.
Yeah. Oh, see, I was trying to leave Black Vulcan out.
I know you were trying to.
I'm trying to leave Black Vulcan out of it.
Put Black Vulcan in this conversation.
Well, we'll put him back in there. I mean, they tried. I'll give them that. Apache Chief, Black Vulcan, Samurai, and El Dorado. I mean, I was excited when I saw that as a kid because everybody wasn't a rich white billionaire.
Right.
Or a demigod. There were black people in the world. I mean, that was the thing about Star Trek. That was the first time I saw black people in the future.
They weren't on the Jetsons.
Didn't see a single one. If you believe science fiction before 1980, I guess all black people were going to die about 2025.
I mean, the way it's going.
Well, give it,
Think about Terminator. Have you seen any black people in that future? No. Not a single one.
No, there's no.
The future. Are any black people fighting with John Connor? I mean, that's what made Star Trek so extraordinary. We had a future for the first time in science fiction.
You know what? I'm gonna go on ahead and say John Connor was mixed. That's just for my mental.
I'm glad you mentioned Black Vulcan because when I was talking to Moses when I was growing up, we were talking about. Big comic book fan. Yeah. Aquaman was great.
Nobody actually read the back of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, but a lot of people, even when comic companies tried to do it right, they messed up. I'm sure some people in here know, but have any of you all heard of a character called the Black Bomber?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay, so for those...
Dwayne McDuffie fans should know who the Black Bomber is.
Yes, exactly. So DC, when they were originally trying to get a black superhero, they had a guy come up with a character. The character was the Black Bomber. He was a white supremacist. He may have been a full-on Klansman, I don't remember. But when he said, I think it was Black Power, he turned into a black superhero.
Yep. That was supposed to be DC's first black character.
It really was.
Yep.
And somebody had the foresight.
I'm talking about Tony Isabella.
Yeah, that's
Tony, the guy who came up with Black Lightning. That's how he got to Black Lightning because the original character they gave him was the Black Bomber.
And he said,
he was like,
nah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But also, and I will say, that is an example of being a good ally. Tony, Tony's like Italian, I think he is.
Tony's very Italian.
Yeah, but he saw it and he was like, no, I'm not dealing with this. So that whole thing was scrapped. But Dwayne McDuffie did do a parody, and he called him the Brown Bomber. And
read Dwayne McDuffie's last run on Justice League, and you'll see the Brown Bomber.
Yeah, and it's so funny because the Brown Bomber is hitting on Vixen as his old non-black racist self. I didn't want to say the W word. And then he transforms and tries to hit on her as his fine black man self, and she's like, no, I still know.
Well, let's not forget we had Lois Lane for about 24 hours.
Right. They did. How many of y'all remember when they turned the Punisher black?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I got that. Marvel actually did this in the 1990s where they put Frank Castle in a machine and turned him black.
Wow. It's because he was going undercover, right?
You know what? I saw the cover and I was like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how they justified it.
They did that to Lois Lane as well. That's what she's referring to. For 24 hours, DC Comics turned her black.
Yes.
And then turned her right back white.
But what they don't know, the best part, she was doing it for a story. She was trying to talk to people in Little Africa, that part of Metropolis, and they wouldn't talk to her. So she tells it to Superman, and Superman just naturally has a machine that can change white. He didn't invent this, he just
and he never used it, by the way. See, these are deep cuts. For those of us who use chisels,
right. Yeah, so but the best part is, so she goes, she meets this guy, there's a little sexual tension between her and the black guy. I think she ends up saving his life through a blood transfusion. When Superman is ready to change her back, she looks at Superman and says, why do you want me to change back? Don't you love me now? Tell me, if I asked you to marry me right now, what would you say? You wouldn't want to marry me if I was black? She just became like full on.
Angela Davis.
Yeah, exactly. She was out there like Foxy Brown. But just because I'm black, you wouldn't want to marry me? Like, no, you were white before. I'm just trying to put you back to what you were before your credit get ruined.
To sum up all that, we've come a long way.
That answer your question.
It did.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, I got one more.
That answers your question, Sonny?
I got a question. Did y'all was y'all singing hymns back then too? I'm done. But at this time, Jamal, y'all got something y'all want to say on this subject?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought I spoke.
Yeah.
Did I say?
What about you? You got something?
Well, I'm not old, for one, so I didn't feel like you were talking to me. But you know, I do like my ancestors.
And we like you. Now, on a different angle, I remember when they first announced the first Black Barbie little girls. That was the first time Black little girls could see themselves, and it was such a big deal. And then now you can go to the store and there's baby dolls and everything, and seeing kids, no matter what their race are, you know, saying, I want that baby, and wants that little black baby doll, whether it's a Barbie doll, whether it's a Bratz doll, whether it's whatever brand it is, but it just shows it's been a slow progression to see us more in spaces, whether you were Black, Latina, indigenous, anything, getting past those tropes that were established for so long that supposed to be what we look like. So it's, we still got a long, steep hill to climb, but yeah, we're seeing those little changes.
God, clap a little. I feel like I've asked another question, I'm gonna get jumped. So after this, I think I'm gonna leave, y'all will understand. I'm gonna have to run. But my next question is gonna be for everybody up there. If you can see yourselves as any superhero, who would it be and why?
Oh, I can go first. Mine is easy. I love the comic Applewhite. And if any of you guys are familiar with the comic, there's a character in it called Sherman that I think is so dope. And Sherman's so dope because he can reach into his bag and pull out just about anything, right? Like anything he's thinking of or needs anything he needs to help him in the scenario that he's in, he can reach into that bag and have access to it. And if I could be a character, that's what I would do, because I need that bag. I need it today. So, yeah, mine is simple. So I would be Sherman. Yes. Although I did my DNA test and my grandmother told me I was Native American, I thought I was but it's okay.
Ancestry DNA ruining it for everybody.
It's ruined my whole life.
Not just you, that same thing happened to me. Exactly.
Or changed my life.
I have to say my contract requires me to say Black Panther. Yeah, I can't, but you know what? I'm gonna do another deep cut. I want to be Bird.
Bird.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Bird. Schoolhouse Rock. I'm telling you, they were out there. You had to look for them, but they were out there.
Bird and Conjunction Junction was basically the blues.
You really have to be somebody if you want to cosplay somebody from Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, I've already done that.
I want to be a Bill.
I just don't have it on this shit.
I want to be a Bill.
No, not in this one. Not in this one.
No, not this one. No.
You gonna get lost in community.
Yeah. I guess I'm torn because I grew up liking a lot of Black heroes, but if I had to go with one, I'm gonna go with Michael Holt and Mr. Terrific. Yes. Not the one that was on Arrow, the TV show. That's my Mr. Terrific.
Right. Brother had to work though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he had a job.
He had a job.
So he's rich. He's not Bruce Wayne rich, but he's worth a few billion. He doesn't have superpowers himself, so whenever they do, like you can't just pull out a piece of kryptonite and stop him because he doesn't have superpowers. He got hands because he's an Olympic level martial artist. He's smart as all get out. And a lot of what he ended up doing came from trauma. He basically started being Mr. Terrific because he lost his family in an accident. And he just kind of used that and some stories about a previous hero. And he still gives back to the community. He has led no less than 3 different teams in the Justice League. Batman uses him as a resource. When Batman is going to you because he can't figure something out, your sugar honey iced tea. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Mr. Terrific, and then I'm gonna go make it rain on the poor sections of Metropolis, like little Somalia, little Africa, or the hell those names.
This question is hard for me because I'm not truly a superhero person. I mean, back in the day, I used to say Storm until they cast Halle Berry and not me. I guess I'm petty about that. But when this question comes up, I don't think of a superhero, I think of a superpower. And I would want that superpower to be a combination between wherewithal and benefit of the doubt. That's what I would want. That gets you out of a lot. You don't need to be invisible when you got money.
Oh, man. There you go. Now you did say you're a trick. Wouldn't Commander Cisco count as a superhero? Deep Space Nine.
I mean,
there's a brother in space who had command of the whole space station.
Or Michael Burnham.
So let me just say, as much as I love Cisco, I don't want to be a man.
Well,
Michael Burnham.
No shade on anybody who does want to be. But yes, I would pick Captain Michael Burnham. Yes. Who doesn't want to spend their formative years on Vulcan?
I'm just thinking about the food.
you don't think Vulcan?
And where did she get her hair done? Exactly.
Exactly.
No, I love, she's not the only Black female captain in the Star Trek universe, but
Shout out to Mag Sinclair.
Listen, I'll ride for her any day.
For myself, growing up, it was, of course, Storm, because she controlled elements, and she's an Omega mutant. So, and then on top of that, she was the ruler of her planet. They moved into a whole planet. But then it was also Shuri. She was smart. She created the technology for Wakanda, and then became the next Black Panther. So it was like those two. It's just like Shuri showed she had the brains. She gave her people what they needed to be advanced, not being this little small village that most of the world thought Wakanda was. She gave the technology that everybody wanted. Captain America's shield was made out of the vibranium that they had and everything. So between the two of them, if I can combine them, that'll be one note. And
Y'all clap up for them. Clap it up, clap it up. If you have a good time, say yeah. Yeah. Now we are coming to the best part of this panel. We're going to be having questions coming from the crowd. So, if you have any questions, please, let's say, start it right here. Give me a line right here.
Are you gonna make folks walk up to the front?
It's seats up here for everybody standing in the back.
Okay, here you go.
Okay.
Is that a mic?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Testing. Oh, there we go. All right. So, if y'all got a question, y'all come up and ask us a question, and we'll try the best to our ability to answer it. Please don't have no old questions because I also got killed. So, okay. Here you go.
Let's keep it short. I see we got a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
I'd just like to start by saying greetings to the congregation. Thank you to the Super Black People meeting. I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Pastor Chris.
This is my first Dragon Con, and I recently moved to Georgia a couple months ago. So when I saw this panel on the schedule and Blerds and all that kind of stuff, I was really it was really like a breath of fresh air. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for putting this on and for creating a space for everybody together and to come together and network and do all that kind of stuff, because that's why I'm here. So thank you so much for that. The question I had was, being somebody that's new to the city, new to Dragon Con, where do we go to do more of this? How do I find more of us?
Well, man, because like I said, everybody up here, except maybe 2 people haven't met, but no, just y'all. But it's like people like Sherman, Barr Foxx, we kind of like that because while I was coming up, I started off very short, but now I have grown because Jabbar, he's my mentor, so I look at him up to as a mentor. He didn't know it, but now he knows it now, but he's the mentor to me, so he has been inspiring me to do everything. And man, you just go out there, like, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got Snapchat, you got meetups, you got Discord. Like, everybody, like, you got people in here, right? You got people in here, you get to know people, talk to them, and they can give you another outreach of where more Blerds are at. So this network, talk, make yourself known. Everybody here is brother and sister, everybody here is family. So ain't nobody gonna turn you away because they are also looking for the next, like, how can I meet more Blerds?
Yeah. I can tell you on Facebook, we've got Black Geeks of Dragon Con if you go search for it. It's an active community even not during con season. And a lot of our members are in Atlanta. Shout out to all y'all, by the way. There's Blerd over on Facebook. There's always places to start. And you said you live in the Atlanta area?
Okay.
Atlanta area could be called Blerd Central. I'm pretty much. Yeah, you should not have a hard time. Just go outside and throw a rock. You probably
And for those of us who don't live in Atlanta, I'm out of DC. Well, that's the home of BlerdCon. And you go to conventions like this, you will always find some of us somewhere, most likely at the bar. You'll find people like me and Sanford Green. We gravitate to each other at these conventions. So go to where the things are that you like, and you're gonna find somebody.
Yeah.
I'm here in Atlanta, do Cosplay Your Way, Cosrip, Beltline Cosplay, and then hang out at Batman Group.
And then also, I'm one of the admins for Atlanta Black Nerd Society. Join that. They have conversations they post different things about nerdy stuff, but then when we plan meetups and things, that we meet local Black nerds here in the Atlanta market too. So it's right on Facebook, Atlanta Black Nerd Society.
All right.
Hey, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Slash. This is my first Dragon Con. It's kind of a subjective question, but as far as representation for people of color in the superhero space, I think it comes down to Black Panther. He's kind of holding the torch now. Before that, I would say Blade and maybe Spawn. But before that, who would y'all say is kind of, who do y'all think kind of represented us before that, or in y'all's opinions, or growing up? Who's y'all's Black Panther? For a lot of people growing up, Black Panther is the black superhero. But who is that for y'all?
Excuse me, before we talk, I think on time we might have to do one answer because I want to make sure we get everybody's question. So that's one answer.
Okay, static shot.
Media for me. Yes.
Nubia.
Okay,
Diana's sister.
Yeah. Okay.
First off, thank the panel for being here. Two things. Number one, for those of you who are into comic books, they were discussing Black comic book characters. There were so few back in the day. I'm part of a group called Black Comic Lords on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. So if you're interested in Black comic book characters, join the YouTube channel. We discuss it all week. But the question that I have for those of us of a certain age, how did you guys...
Hold it to your face, baby. Hold it like that to be here.
For those of us of a certain age, how did you guys find your tribe back in the 1600s when we were coming up?
Y'all just not trying me like that.
Well, I know he ain't talking to me, but I will say that sometimes I brought my comic books out with me when I was going to class. And they're in my backpack. You see who comes up to you. You talk, you have conversations in coffee shops. You have conversations at the lunchroom table at your high school or your college. And you see who takes the bait. Some people will, some people won't. The people who do, that's who you hang with.
And I'll just say, my tribe found me. I can't take credit for it. I just kind of did one thing and people were like, oh yeah, we with you now. So, yeah.
I did two things. I would bring up Star Trek in any conversation, no matter how awkward it was, for no reason. And most people who know me for the last, 10, 15 years, I'm almost always wearing my Star Trek necklace. And if you know, you know. And people are like, what? Midway conversation, go, oh, is that Star Trek? And then some people know right off the bat. I have had amazing conversations with strangers because I'm wearing a Star Trek necklace or I have a Star Trek tattoo. So there are ways we found each other.
A lot of times with you having your favorite character shirt, like I said, having conversations, or you may be at a store picking up a comic or something and somebody may start a conversation with you on that and build a rapport with somebody from there.
Go ahead.
All right. First off, thank y'all, because again, open up a space for all of us that we can come together. It means a lot. I definitely have to thank you. Second, we know we're talking about comic books and cartoon shows and TV shows, but what about anime and video games? What's y'all take on that, or characters from it that caught your eye coming up?
We might have to do one answer. I kind of wish, but you know.
Oh yeah, no problem. Piccolo, he's black. I will not be taking any further questions. He's also the world's best step dancer.
We trying. We got you.
Just piggyback off that last question, I posted a question on social media about a week ago. Some of you may have seen it, but paraphrasing, why do you think as African Americans we gravitate more towards Japanese culture versus African culture?
I'm not touching that.
I disagree with the premise of the question.
For myself, I think that we gravitate to because it is consumable for us. We have it readily available to us, and the storylines and things we connect to, and it pulls us into our own little getaway world. Unfortunately, African fables, things like that, have not been as readily available to us to learn about. Now, there are some authors and writers that are starting to produce more shows with that. That's going to start changing the tide, but until we can get it as easily as we can get anime and manga, it's a lot of people are disconnected from it.
I'm going to try to make this quick. switching gears, so I work in corporate America, and I'm very much a Blerd. And I struggle with being myself, with trying to be taken seriously in the workplace. So do you guys have any advice for how you balance, being a Blerd in corporate America, being true to yourself, and being taken seriously as a Black person, in that area?
Good question.
I will say that in addition to everything else, I'm the Associate Director of the School of Media and Public Affairs at George Washington University, and I dare anybody to say anything about my Sam Wilson poster on my door.
Yeah, my name's John. I'm Gen X Blerd. Been doing, this is my 25th Dragon Con. I've noticed sometimes there's a disconnect between the generations. Like I know we're joking here, but it's like the whole old thing. Everybody's like, okay, back when in the day when you didn't have this technology, but I've been online since 1985.
Let him know.
How do you think we can sort of bridge the gap between generations so, the misconceptions aren't there?
I think we're doing that right now. I mean, the generations that are represented in this room, when I see folks show up to the photo shoots and they got their little ones with them, and then we got our OGs, we are actively bridging that. And that question is a microcosm of what's happening here is what's happening in the outside world. There's a generational disconnect in general. But I think when we come together and we do stuff like this and we see our babies and our elders all in the same space and we're all enjoying each other, we are actively doing it.
Everybody to stand up. We're going to do this. We're going to close it on now. If you like this channel, make some noise. If you want this channel to come back, make some noise. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do my close. I'm going to say WTW, what's the word? And everybody going to say UNITY. What does that spell? Unity. Y'all can spell. Okay. All right. Here we go. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to close this up? All right, here we go. Baby boys, what's going on? It's your boy SKIT.88 Kid from Blerd over at DragonCon 2024 with this amazing crowd. Clap it up for yourselves. Thank you to all my wonderful panelists. I really do appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Enjoy DragonCon at this time. WTW, what's the word? Say it with me. UNITY. What's that spell? Unity.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Network out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell. Even if we have to ourselves, can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it,